Here we are, Jez. It is ahead of the game. It's our very own sports
Head of the
chat
game.
show. Ahead of the game.
Head of the game.
How cool. Back talking sport again,
Yeah.
and right into the footy season's almost here. This show, those of you that are watching here for the very first time, it is the first show, but we're going to be talking about sport, just shooting the shit, either on a couch or online. Just having fun, talking behind out of our necks and having some fun about it. Jez, are you? I don't know. Do we introduce ourselves as journalists? Are we journalists, or are we just sports writers? I haven't done a journalist course.
Editors.
Editor in general.
Content creators, I think you can use now. Keeps it very broad. Sports content creators.
We both write game previews and sports content over at bets.com.au. I don't know, I like to think I'm better at it than you are, but you're constantly showing me up with the amount of views that you're getting on your content.
Yeah, I think I'm a better content creator. You're a better tipper and analyst. Okay. So that's why we sort of just make this perfect balance of sports mastery, perhaps.
Perfect. All right. Today we're going to chat some NRL stuff. You got a couple of questions to throw at me and that we're going to answer. NBL finals almost here, the semi-finals once this bloody fever break gets out of the way. Some F1 livery was, or they were all released early this week. Let's have our bit of reaction about them. And bang, bang, bang is going to finish us off. I got a pretty hot take there to surprise you with when we get there.
Exciting stuff. But let's right into it. We're going to throw out some crazy segments. We're going to be trying lots of different stuff. So if you're watching, don't forget to comment, say the segments you like, what you don't like, what you want to hear, what you want to see. But we will start off segment number 1, episode 1. What do you reckon? Now, this segment's going to be all about what do you reckon is basically more likely to happen, A or B. Sometimes they'll be very comparable, sometimes maybe not so comparable. But yeah, a good way to sort of break down some certain situations that are coming up in the next week. So first off the bat, Ryan, what do you reckon? Is Penrith more likely to win their 5th consecutive premiership or the Tigers to win their 4th consecutive spoon?
Ooh. I have to go Panthers, eh? Because I reckon I don't think that the Tigers squad is that bad for them to win another spoon. I think there's probably another couple of teams in the race for the wooden spoon. I don't know if Penrith are going to win again, but I probably think it's more likely. What do you reckon?
Yeah, like what do I reckon?
Is that why we called it that?
Yeah, what do you reckon? We've got to get that Queensland bogan twang in, that's what it's all about. Yeah, I think you're smack bang on, because like we've obviously seen with Penrith that like how good they are, how well they cover injury. I think this season is a little bit different because I think Nathan Cleary played like 13 games last year, but Jerome Luai obviously stepped up. Jerome Luai now, funnily enough, coincidentally playing for the Tigers to make this segment just like wind right together. And he's obviously going to lift them a little bit. And with Penrith though, yeah, the only sort of worry is if Cleary gets injured for a long period of time and how they're going to really work out in the halves. But like they've shown before that they can cover well enough.
Yeah.
So
I remember writing their previews last season and thinking that they were scoring a lot worse without Cleary in the team. And like in some games they were, but on the length of his kind of, what do you call it? Not break, but his injury games, they were actually scoring comparable or more points in some of them.
Yeah. But I think that's like what they do. I think with Cleary, he just controls the game. So once they get out to a lead, he just controls it, plays the percentage plays. They don't not just going all out attack like some of these younger halves do. So I think it's more about Cleary's game management than them being obviously not a better attacking team when Cleary's not in the side. But anyway, what I reckon, 100%, I think Penrith can win another, it's scary to say, like 5 premierships in a row. Like that's epic. And four wooden spoons would also be pretty epic consecutively. But I think definitely that Penrith are more likely to win that 5th one than the Tigers. They should drag.
Tiger Town.
Yeah. Look out. They'll be riding in Bankstown, or no, Bankstown's the Bulldogs. They'll be riding in Bankstown because the Bulldogs just might lose. Who knows? But it'll be riots in the western
Leichhardt.
Leichhardt. That's right. Leichhardt. What do you reckon? Campbelltown, Leichhardt. All right. Next, what do you reckon for the day? Going up to Queensland, the Dolphins or the Titans to get more wins?
Oh, I've been so hot on both of these teams the last 2 seasons and been I've been a little bit rewarded by the Dolphins. I still have predicted them to win around about the win totals they had, but they're a little bit towards the end of the season. They just underachieve. New coach though, and the Titans, they're a good team. They've got a good squad. They've got Brimson, they've got Tino, they've got Fafita. Kieran Foran's still good. Like, they should be winning games, but they're just hopeless. I don't know. Not Titans, Dolphins.
Man,
Dolphins will win more games.
Dolphins to get more wins.
Yeah.
Like, I'll own up now, being a Gold Coast boy through and through. It's been some painful years between the Suns and the Titans. It's a I don't know, what did you say? Get the rough end of the stick. Is that a saying? Rough end of the stick?
Rough end. What is it? Are they all rough?
It can be. It can be.
Both ends of the stick rough?
Yeah. Both ends of the stick? Yeah. Depends who your father is, I guess. But,
where he's putting the stick.
Yeah. Well, what end of the stick? The thick side or the skinny side?
The Suns are going to win games. Maybe the Titans can follow suit, and maybe it's the double for.
They don't make the 8, man. The Suns looked real good last year, but can't make the 8. Well, they've never played finals. This is year 14.
Yeah, but if they win one more away game, then they're gonna be in the finals.
Yeah, but anyway, it's painful. The Titans. I've lost faith in the Titans. Like, they've got all the players. Their forward pack's top, and now they've got Regan, Campbell, Gillard, Ramble, Campbell. But yeah, you still just don't have faith in it. It takes like one big injury and they're gone. Their defense has been awful since Scott Prince days. Not that he was the best defender, but they just haven't been able to defend. They always seem to be concede up there like the most points of any team in the league. And I don't know. I think they're in trouble. I have more faith in the Dolphins. Everyone's sort of writing the Dolphins off this year, but Christian Wolf, their new coach that took over from Wayne Bennett, everyone sort of just goes, oh, it's got to have been Wayne Bennett. He was the savior. He made them so competitive. But like, I think it might be a good thing if complete change of guard, Christian Wolf come in. Maybe they won't be really good this year, but I think he's got the pedigree. He won like 3 premierships in a row for St. Helens. And he turned around Tonga, I believe, on their international level. So he's got some really, really good pedigree. And it's just building depth, I think, for the Dolphins. That's where they struggled. Like, they were good at the start of the year. They had a pretty easy draw, and then they started to get a few injuries, and it all falls apart. And their halves, they need a half. They were chasing all the big halves when they started, but nobody wanted to go there. Sort of a little bit of the same problem with the Titans. You need to have a top 5, top 10 half in your lineup or in your squad, because if you don't, there's not enough creativity, not enough game management. Young halves making silly mistakes, bad kicking off. So I struggle. I think both of these teams are likely to probably miss out on the 8, but I think the Dolphins are probably the bigger chance than the Titans this year for sure.
Wasn't Munster rumoured to be going up to Southeast Queensland or what? Was it last year, the year before?
Yeah, but that was when Bennett was targeting him for the Dolphins. I don't think he was ever rumoured to go to the Gold Coast or to Brisbane. It was all about going to the Dolphins, I think. But anyway, speaking of Melbourne, another great segue, just straight into the next The next, what do you reckon? Craig Bellamy. Now we're on the Melbourne train. What do you reckon? Craig Bellamy wins round one for the 23rd year in a row. Yes, 22 times he has won in the first round. Melbourne have not lost in the first round when he has been the coach. Or Tommy Turbo snaps another hamstring in 2025.
Well, here it's hard because one
Both are pretty likely.
both are
very, very probable.
Yeah, you could almost like what happens first. I mean, there's still another 10 days before Tommy Turbo can snap his hamstring before Bellamy gets his first win. But I think Bellamy
you're going which one happens first.
No, I was saying you could do that.
Preseason. Man, they have him on ice all preseason. I don't think he's even going to be out there for 1 minute, man. They're crazy. And then it'll go the first run back in round one. His hamstring will snap because he hasn't played pre. Melbourne play Parramatta.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely getting the win there. So
yeah. I think the line's 7.5 points in round one. It's huge.
I think these both happen. To be honest, both of them happen.
Yeah, for sure. I'm all about it. It's all this like talk even now, like just as we're recording, I think it was a couple of days ago, Latrell Mitchell snaps his hamstring, and in the papers and stuff already, they're all about, okay, Latrell can't play fullback. Tommy Turbo shouldn't be playing fullback. You need to protect these stars. I think Cleary was saying he's doing less kicking at training because his hamstrings and hips have been going the last few years. So he's like, I'm not training as much kicking anymore. Does that going to make a difference in the games, or is it not? Have you got that in your muscle memory because he's done 150,000 kicks before? But I don't know, like all these, it's crazy that you're talking about.
They're doing too much weights, or like they're doing too much focus on their hammies that they're not what do you call it? Like malleable enough that they're just thick hammies now.
Big word. You're not from Penrith using malleable, eh? Look at you, Mr. Educated on YouTube, looking up vocabulary before the show. Apparently.
But do you think that's the problem, that they're doing too much weights and not enough? Their muscle mass is too big.
Yeah, I don't know. Like
you're the fucking. I was gonna say
no, like the more
physio.
Pedo.
I'm gonna get flagged on YouTube.
Pedio. We said
physio.
Physio. No, PT. But like ultimately they should. There's enough. They have to trust in what like all their trainers and stuff have been saying. You can't think that their hamstrings are going just because they're playing fullback, or you can think kickers, but you've got to do the right training. You've got to find the right balance, and maybe Cleary's been training extra and going over and doing more and more kicks, but like look at football players, look at all that, like they're kicking like Ronaldo sits after training and was constantly doing extra work and more work than anybody else, and that's why he was the best in the game, and it's why Cleary's the best in the game. Like, and then talking about sort of Turbo and Latrell and just because they're doing run backs and sprinting a little bit more, like.
Yeah, but their body types are different. That's the whole thing. They're soccer players, football players. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but maybe they're too heavy. But what do you mean? Like Jaden Campbell's like this big, and his hamstrings and shoulders and all of that snap. Is he the right person to play a fullback because he's got a smaller body, or you got to have a bigger body? What body? You got to be 98.357 kilos.
No, what I mean,
the perfect body weight to be able to play fullback. Like you got to train your body and make it work. Like
but what I'm saying is that the expectation from the teams and the way that now the NRL players are training, it's a lot of weights because they're trying to build up the muscle mass and be thick across the field instead of being like they were before, where they was just like, it wasn't as much weights. It was more like just get out and kick and get out and run and get out.
Yeah. So maybe they're overworked in some stage, but I wouldn't be training less skills, and I wouldn't be training less sprinting. So
No, less weights.
I don't know. Less
All right.
weights.
I've had enough of that.
Move on. All right.
What do you reckon? That was a pretty good segment. I like that. Let's bring it back
I
to
like
day.
it.
All right.
All right.
Quick break. Talk some NBL. Alrighty, Postifa. NBL finals run. There's 4 teams left. Semi-finals are upon us once this stupid FIBA break gets out of the way. Before we get into these two teams, or the two games, I don't know what we're going to speak about, but I think the NBL scheduling is atrocious around this stuff. Like, how you would have known the FIBA break is going to be around this time. How do you cock it up so much, so easily?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's obviously these sorts of things are more complicated than average Joe realizes, and they're trying to fit. They're trying to. Come on, man. Average. Come on. Like,
I'm below
you've got to
average.
think about how they're below average. I didn't want to say it, but I'm glad you did. But you got to think they're trying to fit an NBL season in between the right time for viewership between the AFL and NRL seasons, and you want to play X amount of games. You know, they could make. I think the only argument you can make when it comes to this FIBA break is maybe they should be playing more games in the week. If you think like NBA teams can play 3 or 4 times a week, where in the NBL, I think off the top of my head, maybe a third of their season is double game weeks. So if you just had a few more double game weeks in there, you'd probably be able to finish before this FIBA break, because it is crazy. I think it's like for Perth for Illawarra and Melbourne, it's like 12 days or something between
21
games.
21 days.
21.
Yeah.
21.
For Illawarra.
I'm dyslexic. Yeah. I got the 1 and the 2 mixed up. 20 I'm below average. It's the new name of this podcast. It should have just been called Below Average. Would have been a good name.
The funny thing, though, is that there's no players from these 4 teams that are participating in the Australian team, at least. I know, for
Elijah Pepper. Played.
Yeah. And then Almansa and
Okwara.
I
think his name is Okwara.
But they're not getting major minutes in the rotation anyway. That's probably why they're allowed to play.
No one got minutes in the first game anyway. No one played more than 19 minutes was the most of any player in Australia. Playing Indonesia and Thailand, won by 50.
I was like, have the semi-finals going at the same time, and then just have you got enough players in the talent pool of Australian NBL to win a game over Thailand and Indonesia. Just play the games, but I don't know. Maybe it's a larger. Maybe the FIBA says you can't have local competition. They're still playing NBA. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's bullshit.
Anyway,
Chip talk. Who do you reckon's going to win?
Man, I'm going to say Perth.
All right.
Yeah.
Shutting this down.
We haven't had this. We haven't actually had this conversation even off air, which is quite surprising. Who we actually think is going to win?
Tell me why you think.
You're a Hawks fan, but I don't know. I just think Perth is. I don't know. They can't play defense. Their defense is shit, and whoever they're going to play, they're going to be playing more games away from home than at home, and which is also a big thing for Perth. So it's almost like I'm talking myself out of Perth right now, but I think their ability to score is, like everyone says, defense wins championships, but their ability to score is incredible. And I think if they just they get on a run, I don't think they're going to have a problem against Melbourne. I think they're going to be able to just simply outscore Melbourne. Melbourne have good defense, but now with Doolittle back, Pinder's actually been consistent. Pinder's been there almost a thorn in their side, because he plays one good game, plays one shit game. but he's actually been consistent over this sort of final third of the year. While Doolittle was injured, he sort of seemed to find his role a little bit better. And now since Doolittle's come back, it's sort of opened things up a little bit for him more, because especially offensively, because you now sort of got these two bigs that you got to cover, because Doolittle's so powerful and strong and versatile, but Pinder can now just go to the basket, rebound, go hard. And if he does that, and then you have obviously Bryce Cotton, you got Benny Henschel, you got Elijah Pep, you got these guys that can score from the perimeter, I think they become so hard to defend. The problem is just if they can do enough on the defensive end to be able to stop teams. But I would love to see a Perth Illawarra final and it go to 5 games and there just be 120 points each game by each team, because that's what this season's sort of been about, really. No one's played defense. The scoring's been so much more. There's been so much more 3-point shooting, and I think it'd be sort of exciting to watch a high-powered, high offense final, especially after last year where it was Melbourne and Tasmania, and that was just purely defense.
Lockdown defense.
Yeah, so I think it'd be good to see. And then I think, I don't know, if Perth are at their best, I don't think even Illawarra, who had the best offense all year, can keep up with them if they're scoring how they're scoring. You look like you think I'm full of shit, but
talking out your neck, like I said you would. Perth can definitely score, and their ability across the board for guys to have some runs and score some points is definitely good, but they are so inconsistent compared to any other team in this Final Four, and they can go on.
They're inconsistent in what way?
In all ways.
Inconsistent in scoring, or
like individually they're inconsistent. So different players at different times of this season have been extremely inconsistent in their output. And the team as well, inconsistent defense. They can lock down for a quarter, but then they can let a team score 40 points on the very next quarter. And it's just like you're not winning a championship if you can't be focused for the entire game. Like, I'm not saying that Illawarra are much better at it, but they are better. And I think Melbourne are much better. Their problem is going to be if they can just survive the 3 games, and hope that one of those games is going to be, because I think they'll probably win one each, and then there'll be one that's on the edge. And if that's a game where Bryce Cotton doesn't show up, he's shooting 27% from 3, or Pinder's still in the change room, then see you later, Perth.
Yeah, but see, that's I don't know where I differ. I think that's the difference between the Perth that sort of watched the last few weeks at the end of the season, was now they sort of work out that they can shift their tactic. It was always based around Bryce Cotton and him shooting at like 45% upwards, hitting fucking 6 threes and carrying the team. But it feels like now they have a little bit more of a dynamic. They can find other guys. They're pushing out to Ben Henschel to get threes, and actually putting faith in him. And then if like the perimeter game's not working, which is where they are usually scoring their points, they now have this power in Doolittle and Pinder to be able to score. So I think that's where, I don't know, where I differ and see that they can actually win the championship this year compared to last year. Because if a team focuses and locks down Bryce Cotton too early, they're going to get points from somewhere else, which is what they haven't been able to do the last few seasons.
Well, we'll I guess see where that ends up in the next
talking all
weeks.
About Perth and not even talking about Illawarra or SEM, but SEM I don't think are a chance, in my personal opinion. After how they played, they turned off for a whole half of basketball in both of the playing games and were lucky to get through. But Illawarra, I guess they speak for themselves. They're an absolute chance to win the chip. But I don't know. Don't like backing the favourite.
All right. My computer's done some funny things here. Let's see if we can have a break and fix that, and then come back and talk some F1 liveries. Okay, we are back, and I realised I was trying to speak to Jez the whole time we're on that break there, tell him what was going on with my computer, obviously I was on mute, so he couldn't hear me. So that's fantastic technology.
Great. You're supposed to be the tech guy in this duo here.
I was thinking, like, why
You're
isn't he
struggling.
answering me? I was okay, because he can't hear me. That's why.
Yeah, below average. It's below average,
Mate, there has been some massive movement in the drivers at F1 for the 2025 season. How great that it's back. This season is probably, what is it? Must be the longest season of any professional sport in the world, right? March to December.
Yeah, it's got to be up there. Yeah, because like there's no break, and then you think that they're doing testing and stuff in between this as well. Like it's wild. It's wild. They do have sort of a few of these like 3-week breaks. They have 2, 3, I think 1 3-week break and maybe even 1 4-week break throughout the season. But still, like it's a lot. It's a lot of racing. Like I don't even know how many rounds
around the
it
world
is.
as well.
20 plus, right?
23, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so cheap to just move all that stuff around the world so much. You know, it's a bargain prices. Oil is at a bargain price.
Let's quickly have a chat about the drive. Like I just preparing for this, and I wanted to just speak about the liveries, and I went through the drivers. I was like, oh shit, I didn't realize there was that many drivers that have been.
It's going to be a little bit like Mario Kart this year, man. I think it's going to be exciting because there's so many young kids. It was always like, you know, when Verstappen come in, he was in and he was wild and strong, and the same sort of with Lando Norris when he started, and they just like, but now you've got like, I don't know how many development academy drivers that have sort of had a race here or there over the last season and now like full-time drivers. I think it could get pretty crazy at the back of the field this year. I think that's going to, and that messes things up at the front because it's all about when you're pitting and when you're, what you're doing with your tires at the time, and do you take a chance? Do you stay out or do you go in? Or, you know, it's going to make things much more difficult. It's not about just the guys at the back crashing into each other and making crazy moves, but how it affects the front. So I think it can be really exciting.
So the drivers that got the punt, Sergio Perez, Kevin Magnussen, obviously Ricciardo and Logan Sargent dropped midway through the season. Colapinto has not returned, and then the Chinese driver Zhao Guan Yu and our old mate Valtteri Bottas.
Legend.
They're both still reserve drivers though this season, so we'll probably see them at some point of the season having a race or at least a drive. But they have lost their full-time drive, which is pretty, like, I understand a little bit, like Magnussen, Ricciardo didn't really do much. Logan Sargent.
No, but he was a liability, man. He wasn't. He crashed a lot. He's like crashed a lot. Dad's got money, pays for the crashes again. Dad pays for the crashes. Like it's crazy. Saw him smash into the wall at like 200 kilometers an hour in the Dutch Grand Prix. So that was nice. It's good for the people, but there's going to be heaps of crashes anyway this year, so it'll be all right.
That's it. Then we got coming in Bortolito. He was the runner-up in the F2, going out. He's racing for Kick. Isaac Whaddya going to the Racing Bulls. So he replaces actually Liam Lawson that was replaced Ricciardo. Ollie Behrman into Haas. Jack Doohan, another Aussie on the grid for Alpine. Kimi Antonelli picks up his spot after Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes, and then obviously Liam Lawson partnering Verstappen in the Red Bull, which will be very interesting to see how he gets pushed up the ladder extremely quickly over the last season, and now he's taking over the seat from Perez, who they obviously thought was not pulling his weight. So this is like make or break for Liam, I believe, for his season, his career.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, because there was been so much talk about how bad Perez was, compared to Max Verstappen in the same car. But obviously, Verstappen is always going to be the number one driver. He's always got like first preference to everything. I think Perez got it, like sort of took it pretty hard, but then he also just made some crazy mistakes because he was put under pressure, make mistakes. So I think Lawson knows his place there. He's not trying to win the championship. He's trying to just learn off Max Verstappen while he's still there, and obviously do his best. But he's going to have to. He's like, if Verstappen's winning races, Lawson has to be top 5. Like, he's got to be there. He's got to be at the front. He's got to qualify well. Otherwise, there's just going to be pressure straight on him again, I think. They've got a pretty good pool of drivers. So I think Lawson has to perform. Put you on the spot. Who do you think is going to do the best out of all of these rookies?
When you say the bet, like, I think Lawson has the best car. So he's probably going to score the most points. But I think, Bordelito is probably not so good in the Sauber. It's probably Kimi Antonelli. Probably going to have the best stuff to that for in the Mercedes if they can get the car to suit him. Then I think he's got a good shot. But let's get into this livery because I think this is a pretty cool things to look at here. First up, Kick Sauber Steak, whatever they're bloody called. Next year they'll be Audi. I don't know what colours they have said something about it, but like you're the neon guy, right? You are the neon guy.
I love it. I love it. It's awesome. This is the best one. This is the best car out of all of it, but there's still not enough neon and a little bit too much black.
That's it. It's like
just do it. Like,
the gradient. It's a little bit boring. Like, put some more neon on the back, on the wing or something.
Get some lights going in there. I want some flashing, and I get it all. Come on.
All right, the Williams. The
best thing about the Williams is the Duracell on the top behind the driver's head.
That's pretty cool.
Notice that? It's wicked. Yeah. Just power in, put in a Duracell. That's why it runs like shit, because it's just done on battery.
I reckon these guys
they should do really well.
Yeah.
I watched a YouTube clip or something about Williams, and the owner. I don't even know who took over as the chief there, and he was just like, when he come in and took over a couple of years ago, he's like, I want last year and the year before to be shit, and then he was like, this year in 2025 he wants to start seeing some improvement. So they've been working towards a plan, and they've shown that they can like do well when in the right conditions. They just need consistency. And now bringing in Sainz, man, he had to move over because Lewis Hamilton went to Ferrari. It was either him or Leclerc, and they're not going to boot Leclerc because he's like from Monaco, fits sort of perfectly in the team. But he's still a good driver, man. He's like one of those drivers that'd be like, can't believe he didn't win a world championship type of a driver. And now racing for Williams. So it'd be interesting to see how he goes. I hope it goes well for them. They're a team of the past, of history that you want to start to see do good again.
Yeah, definitely. I think they'll be out there in the points. The Racing Bulls. This is the horrendous for me.
What, are they called the Racing Bulls?
Racing Bulls.
The Racing Bulls. Okay.
This little bit pointing on the screen. Can you see me point with my finger?
Below average.
The Bulls hopping out of the back in front of the back tire. Like, what is that bullshit? That's like child's story.
I like it.
Story time.
I like it just because it's a light color. I think when you're watching on TV and stuff, you're gonna know that it's them. So
compared to the
other ones. Like they're the only, they're like the only like white car. You allowed to say that? Just like them because they're white, or
that you can't say.
Oh,
the yellow nose here, I think is I don't know. Like I think it's a little bit too much white. I think it's a little bit quack.
Yeah,
not my favorite.
No.
Haas, this one here, I think it's striking. It gives you like a bit of a grunge feel, but I don't know if I like it.
I like the black and red combination, but like that's what they've always had, and it just seems like it's really slick. But
it
also doesn't mean that it runs fast. but it
it
looks
might
fun.
just be because I think the team's bad that I don't know if I like the car, how it looks. Yeah, I don't know. Like it looked better on that photo.
It looked better there. Yeah.
Yeah, than out on the track.
Absolutely.
It's a little bit like it's lost its shine there a little bit. Now this one, it's bringing back like Miami Beach retro.
Yeah, Miami Vice,
Miami
right?
Vice, yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
And I think like this photo as well, and you can see. I don't know if I put it in. I didn't put it in. You get this photo also from the side, and it looks like the shadows coming out of the wing. It was pretty cool. Pretty cool effect. But I like
Do
these
you know
colors.
what BWT is?
No, isn't it?
I
Some
googled it. I googled it just before the.
What is it?
It's like a purified water company where you have like machines in your office, and then they have, I don't know, it's like some special water. They obviously got a lot of money because they're backing a Formula One team, so it must be a big thing somewhere.
Don't they?
But
don't they have supercars as well? I think they have supercars. They sponsor supercars.
Do they?
All right, anyway, I think this is a good one. I like the colours. The combination's good.
Off topic.
Another Aussie in a driver's seat here this season. So, mate, this is one of my favourites.
Yeah, me too. It's good. Like I said, like you notice them. You know when they're coming. You don't have to think twice when you're watching races because of the pink and the bold colours. Like all these, it's Let's go.
Moving
Next
along.
one.
Moving along.
Aston Martin. Boring.
They haven't done much.
Boring.
They didn't even have had like
What
3 photos on the official Formula One gallery of their livery. There was 3 photos, and this was the best one.
Looks the same.
Looks the same. I think a little bit more black on the undercarriage. But you know, the green's iconic. Have more green.
Yeah. And more fluoro. Should be fluoro green.
All right. Now these guys, Mercedes, also had very few photos to pick from, but this one was the best apparently. What do you reckon? Love it, hate it?
No, it's boring.
It's boring.
Boring's the word. I just think it's black. Like all right, I'm gonna throw you my point on all these before we even finish because I'm just bubbling over here thinking about it. Like every single car here, pretty much half of it is black. Like they've all got these new boring designs. Look at the cars. Like I don't know. I'm not even as old as a sounder when I'm going to say this, but like back in the 90s and stuff, it was just all about colors. There was just like color everywhere on the cars. Like it wasn't about trying to make them all look slick. It was like logos, it was colors, it was if you had green and then you had like a yellow sponsor, you just threw some yellow on there and then you threw some red on there because you were sponsored by Marlboro Reds, and then like there was just color everywhere. They were like just mashes. And now every car is just like half of a color in a dark shade and then it's black. It's like you just lose it. You want to stand out. Like, don't you want, and also the sponsors, like wouldn't the sponsors want to stand out more as well? Just why wouldn't you just bang, put it there, make it really, really big, put the color, your usual sponsor colors over it. Everything doesn't have to mash together. You're a racing car, you're an advertisement billboard. That's where all of the money comes from. Bring back the cars of the 90s. Take away all the black, more colors.
Yeah, I think
Red
the
Bull,
Mercedes was pretty boring. Yeah, not much difference here either.
Red
They're not going to change your winning concept, I guess.
No. Be bad omen. Can understand that they keep theirs.
This one, you said before, Marlboro Reds, we don't condone smoking, but this car makes me want to open a packet of Marlboro Reds, have a cigarette.
Yeah, but that's just because of how you thought about Ferrari and Ducati in the MotoGP back in the day. It's still imprinted in your brain because they were always sponsored by Marlboro, but it's also brighten up the red. They've gone even darker. It's even harder to see on the TV.
I think many people were afraid that they were going to come out with an even worse red. Now this isn't bad, but that could have been worse.
This like red wine red. Ferrari's not red wine red.
Here's a photo of
Pinot Noir.
their livery last season after the Miami or for the Miami race. I think this is when they signed
Mhm.
maybe HP as a sponsor, or it was something to do with sponsorship. I didn't read enough. I couldn't be bothered.
Mhm.
But
Mm.
I think it's good that they went back to the red wheels, got rid of that baby blue. I don't think that works. White is
No.
more striking against the red color, and the red wheels. I
But
love red wheels.
Ferrari is red, black, white, like, and then
yellow.
they're often sponsored by Shell or whatever. Yeah, the yellow. So it's like, just have that. Why would you ever go baby blue?
HP. All right, these guys. MasterCard on the front wing. I don't know. Works well,
But
but
also too much black.
yeah, more orange.
McLaren, like you go back to these Google 90s photos of McLaren, their car's just orange. The whole car orange. Why? Like, why is every team black? The road's black.
Yeah, and night races and stuff. It makes them hard to see in night
Yeah,
races.
just
More colour to
bright
the
orange,
people.
fluoro, more
All right.
fluoro, more orange.
We've been speaking way too long about this stuff, but there was some loves
About
and
everything,
there was some
really.
hates. Be good to see when the season starts again, right?
Yep.
All right, let's have a quick break, come back and finish up.
Bang bang.
Bang, bang, baby.
Bang, bang, bang. All right. Bang, bang. All about quick takes. No more rambling. It's the end of the show. Run out of words. Let's get right to the point, Ryan. Who is winning in Vegas in the NRL? Raiders v Warriors, Panthers v Sharks. Who wins?
Warriors and Panthers. What about you?
Don't like the Sharks. I don't know. I'm gonna say the Sharks. I'm gonna give you a free bang, Ryan, and say that the Sharks win the minor premiership this year. Bang, bang,
Shit. All right,
bang,
here,
buddy.
my hottest take
Who's
is
not making the 8?
the Bulldogs don't make the 8.
Bulldogs not making the 8.
No,
You
they
for
can't
real?
score enough points. They cannot score enough points to get past. If you just look at last season, maybe the Knights fall out, but the Broncos got to be in there. The Eels are probably going to be in there. Someone else, except for the Knights, has to go, and I think it's going to be the Bulldogs because it's not going to be my Roosters.
Who did they? The Roosters could be in trouble, man, at the start of the year. This was supposed to be a quick, non-rambling segment, but the Roosters could be in trouble. Anyway, but are the Bulldogs really not going to make the 8?
I don't think so.
Yeah, they didn't really bring in anybody, did they? Tupanua.
Keep the receipts on this one. Yeah, no, they didn't. They I think Marcelo Montoya for Addo Carr doesn't move the needle. They need to score more points. Simple as that.
Fair enough.
All right. First ep, done and dusted. Can find us, follow us, Tuck Sport Takes. That's me. Sports Pez Jez. That's him.
That's me.
Insta, Twitter. Do you have Twitter or just me?
Yeah, I think I started a Sports Pez Jez. I haven't been very active on it, but it's all going to start now. So probably find me there, Sports Pez Jez on Twitter.
Can you point to that other link below you there as well? Further that way. There. Check out the game previews for upcoming Charity Shield this weekend. I wrote that one.
Yeah.
NBL, NRL, AFL, racing. Pretty good spot. Check
tennis.
It out.
Lots of tennis. Andy's good.
Good having a chat. Oh, before we go, just very, very quickly. What's this?
Neon. We were supposed to put that up. That's how I want to see a Formula 1 car like that next year. Those colours. Look at it. It's beautiful. It's mastery.
All right.
We can go
See
now.
you later.
Bye. I'm glad we got that in.
Bye.